Welcome to TheBounceOff, a podcast where two friends discuss film with a sprinkling of pop culture, ping-ponging between topics and tangents. Eagerly awaiting Christmas supermarket sales, even though they just happened, I'm your host, Clyde, aka the Fruitcake Bandit, and perpetually in the first stage of grief, my co-host, Dan in Denial. Welcome to 2021. Dan, how was an end of 2020 for you?
Well, I saw Tenet.
Wait, was it?
Wait.
It wasn't.
I don't even. Was it?
Wait.
I don't even know. Time off. I think it was in 2020, and like 2020, it left me confused.
Confused, worried for our future and our past at the same time.
Like, yeah, I don't quite get the concept of 2020, but I'm sure it's interesting.
Are you saying that Christopher Nolan wrote 2020? Is that what you're trying to say, Dan?
I'm saying Christopher Nolan could have wrote 2020. And I still wouldn't have enjoyed it.
And the twist still would have been shit. All right, and in case no one can tell at this point, we are discussing Tenet. Which
you may have not noticed, but I just said it in reverse. Tenet.
Shit, you did? I couldn't even tell.
Tenet.
Well,
Tenet.
I was saying it.
Tenet.
I was saying it in forwards.
Yes. Very linear of you, Clyde. Very linear. You see, I don't think linearly. I think both waysy. That's not the way I think.
You haven't seen The Good Place, have you?
No.
Damn. There's like a thing where they explain how like time and space like comes together in the direction it goes, and it goes like these wiggly things, which looks like the word Jeremy Veremy. So they just say that to explain whenever shit just goes bonkers, which makes way more sense than Tenet. So let's just jump into the nitty gritty, shall we?
Let's just bungee jump right in.
Let's bungee jump upwards right into this discussion about Tenet, directed by Christopher Nolan, written by Christopher Nolan, music by not
Christopher Nolan backwards, which is Ludwig Göransson.
Don't quote us on that. Ludwig Göransson, who we know did some work on Black Panther, which was, gave him that extra push, which might have, helped him grab this job from...
Yeah. You know what else he did the music for? New Girl. I just picked up on that.
Wait, do you mean like from season one? Like he wrote the jingle?
He might have wrote... No, I think that was... what's her name?
Zoe?
Did the jingle. Zoe Deschanel did the jingle, I think.
And if she did the jingle, then kudos.
I don't know who did.
That jingle's in my head at least like 5 times a day.
He's prolific. He's like super prolific, but I feel like not enough people talk about him.
Multifaceted is the word.
Like he's like Childish Gambino's basically main producer. And then he worked on Community. I think that's how they met.
Oh, did he?
And then and I feel like he's just done a ton of scores.
And a lot of it doesn't just sound like the same. Like you can tell a Hans Zimmer song when you hear a Hans Zimmer song, but I can never like really...
Yeah, I'd like to say I could tell a Hans Zimmer song when I hear one, but to be honest, I haven't really, done the time to really study Hans.
Just watch Inception. That's all we did. That's all everyone else did, and
that's fair. That
made us experts.
This whole time, when I think I mentioned to you that I thought it was Trent Reznor, I get them confused somehow. I don't know.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. If Trent Reznor did do the music for Tenet, that'd be boss. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I forget what he did a soundtrack for. Something that happened.
He did Soul. Yes. Him and what is it? Atticus? Someone named Atticus something. Sorry, Atticus.
I don't know. Atticus Ross sounds like an actual person, but
that sounds right. Yeah,
Atticus.
Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
No.
Yeah.
Ross doesn't sound right.
Yeah, that's the one.
Hold up. I typed in Soul and Soulja Boy came out. That's not what I'm looking for. If Soulja Boy did the music for Soul, shit. Screenplay by...
Yeah, no, it's right. We're right. We're spot on.
Holy shit, I was right. I didn't even... Oh, okay. I'm that good. Even when I'm right, I don't know I'm right. So, anyway, let's stop going off on a tangent. Let's get into the plot. Air quote, plot.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna keep calling it Christopher Nolan's Tenet in full, just the full thing. It's like a pimp named Slipback. You gotta say it all. I'm saying it that way because it seems like a passion project of his, like the same way that like Kojima was like putting apparently everything into Death Stranding. He's like, this is my baby. This is, if he could die and immortalize himself in a movie, I think it's Tenet.
Do you think he just made a movie with his friends, like Kojima likes to be friends with all the celebrities? Like this is
actually, because all of the Christopher Nolan regulars aren't even here except Michael Caine. No one else came back.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, who even are the regulars? Now I think about it, I'm like, did he have that many people he came back to?
Christian Bale. Bale.
He came back in his trilogy. Wait, no, he's also in
The Prestige. Yeah. Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy's
at least in two movies.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can think of. Cool. Mm-hmm. I don't think he has that. It's just Michael Caine.
It's just Michael Caine. They're apparently old buddies, so it's kind of like Kevin James showing up in a Adam Sandler movie. It's expected. Okay, so let's
speaking of the rest of the cast. Yeah.
Oh damn! I skipped right over that. Thank you. This is why we have co-hosts, people. This is why we do things in twos.
I have effectively co-host right now.
Straight up. Okay, this movie stars John David Washington, son of Denzel Washington, as protagonist. Just protagonist. He has no name. They never refer to him by anything. Actually, they never refer to him by anything besides just him, if they do at all. So, yeah, he's just protagonist. Robert Pattinson as Neil. Kenneth Branagh as Sator. You know, an Australian playing a very Russian. That's a very odd turn. Elizabeth Debicki as Kat. Dimple Kapadia as Priya. Aaron Taylor Johnson as Army Man. I called him that because they might have said his name, but ultimately, you know, he's just
generic Army Man.
He's just Army Man. He's like
a commander. Yes.
Yeah. A G.I. Joe come to life. That's what, you know, that G.I. Joe episode of Community. That's pretty much that's just him.
Yeah.
You may know him as Kick-Ass or Quicksilver in Age of Ultron. He had a big bushy beard, so I couldn't really. It took me a second to recognize him. And then, of course, we have Michael Caine as. I wrote Michael Caine as Michael Caine. He played someone, but the person he played's first name was still Michael. So really,
he played himself.
It's like Charlie Sheen.
You played yourself.
He's just playing him. Congratulations. Played yourself.
You played yourself.
Literally. And got paid for it.
I would love to star in my own movie about myself, and then DJ Khaled say that. That'd be fantastic.
I'd star in my own movie, but I wouldn't play myself for some reason. I'll play someone else. I'll play a guy in the background.
Oh my god. Okay.
Now we got the plot out, the cast out the way. Let's get into the plot, the spicy plot. So Christopher Nolan's Tenet stars John David Washington as the protagonist, a CIA agent who kills himself after getting caught and having his teeth pulled out, only to find out that the cyanide pill was actually a test to see if you're hard enough to join Tenet. What is Tenet, you may ask? I don't think
it's more than a word.
It's more than a word. It's a
lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. It opens doors and sometimes closes them, which now makes sense to me now I say it out loud. Because
palindrome.
Because opens and closes. Okay.
It works in a non-linear fashion.
Okay. And Tenet is an organization from the future, which is trying to fight or the past, and is trying to fight another organization from the future or the past who want to seize this thing called an algorithm, which is, I guess, shown as a physical object, like a staff, which is in 8 pieces, and they got to get all the pieces of the algorithm together because the algorithm holds a secret to inverting things. And an inversion is when an object has its what's the word?
Physics.
Physics? No, there's a word. When something is like breaking down or like decaying.
Molecular structure.
No, it's called like atrophy. I'll say atrophy because that makes more sense to me. It has its atrophy reversed, so a shot bullet will go back into its gun, or like a car's broken windscreen will become whole again, or like, you know, an unpunched face. No, unpunched face will become punched, or something like that. So the secret organization, the evil one, wants to get the algorithm together so that they can basically invert the world and make the world go forwards and backwards at the same. Go backwards so far that it basically implodes on itself and dies. And that's why Tenet wants to stop them from doing that. So far,
you have explained a bit more about the movie than the movie explained about the movie. But,
hold up, we're not done. I haven't even thrown in like the key, the key conflict, because of course that's the overarching, you know.
Yes.
Then there's the personal
context.
Yeah, exactly. So he is tasked to find this dude called Sater. Sater is a Russian guy who was contacted by the Future Evil organization when he was digging through like radioactive rubble when he was a teenager, and they basically set him up to have his own organization in the present day so he can take charge of finding all the pieces of the algorithm so that, you know, he's getting that for the evil organization. And Tenet is trying to stop that shit. And you know, that makes sense. That makes sense. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I had to like invoke my confused Troy Barnes voice. That makes sense. That makes sense, right?
That wrinkled my brain.
Oh my god. Joshua Tracy. Oh god. Okay. When this movie was trying to explain inversion, okay, I think what happened, from what I've seen from a bunch of like reviews and like I remember what the trailer showed us, it seemed like inversion wasn't going to be this weird, super complicated plot, this complicated mechanic. I thought it was just how I thought the people themselves could just make things go back in time on their own. Like, you know, he can
like you have a power where you could like. Yeah, like you could shoot backwards.
Yeah, like let's say I shoot a bullet and I'm
what was it? It's you catching the bullet is how they explained it, I believe.
They said something about instinct. They said for you to catch the bullet, you have to put yourself in the mindset that you shot the bullet in the first place to make sure that happens. Like, it's kind of like intent. Like, this microphone's not going to fall on the floor unless I intend to smack it on the floor. By that logic, I can recatch the microphone. Which is why, for when she said for you to catch that bullet for him to make the bullet go backwards into his hand off the table, he had to put himself in the mindset that he dropped it in the first place.
So, okay.
Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Still confused? Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. But the actual like thing of like, so this is a technology, how are they harnessing it? I still to this day do not understand.
It makes
like, what is an implant in them that gives them a superpower? Like, what is it? Like, it is like, what's going on?
The way they make it seem like they themselves are moving the bullets. The way they explained it was that in the future,
it already happened.
In the future, they irradiated this bullet to make it in reverse. So the object itself is inverted. But by that logic, why can I make it go backwards? If the bullet itself is inverted, it's weird, right? it makes sense, but it doesn't at the same time. Apparently, Christopher Nolan brought on the same physicist, scientist homie that he brought on Interstellar to make sure that the math and the science checked out. But in Interstellar, I could follow it. It made sense. When they got to a planet, they said 1 minute on this planet is 1 day back on Earth, or 1 week or some shit. So obviously, in my mind, I can do the math of, if they spend five hours on this planet, that's 5 weeks. That's like a month gone on Earth. That makes sense. You don't have to go that far into explaining it. They had to basically dump one line of exposition, and we understood. Whereas in this movie, they dump like a whole paragraph of exposition, and then the scientist goes, "Don't think too much about it. Don't think about it too much, because that'll just wrinkle your brain more than you need to." And then,
which kind of tells you like, movie viewer, shut off. Just let your instincts kick in. Just go with the flow. You do not want to do that if you want to understand anything in this movie. You do not want to shut your brain off for 1 second, or else you will miss something vital. And the audio is so terrible.
Damn, man.
When you're watching it in the theater and there is no option for subtitles, and someone's saying something really important, you're not going to catch that. And when you're explaining that there's 8 pieces to some sort of component, I said, "What are you talking about, Clyde? I've never heard about this in my entire life."
Did we see the same movie? Yeah.
Did you like the movie? Let's get into that part.
Did you like the movie?
Let's state that.
I'm gonna explain how I like the movie in, of course, a long-winded way, because that's how we pad the runtime. God damn it, I gotta get to an hour somehow.
How did the movie make you feel? Maybe that's a better way to.
It made me feel excited, disappointed. It made me feel deaf at times. It made me feel smart when I understood when things happened the way the physics were meant to happen, but then it made me feel dumb whenever I was racking my brain trying to understand how the physics worked. Like, there's a part where a building gets rebuilt and blown up at the same time, which is the most Christopher Nolan shit I've ever heard. Like, ever since that scene in Inception where the buildings curve all over, like, that's an iconic shot. I like the idea of this building getting rebuilt and blown at the same time, because they have to get to a certain area, and the way the building was blown up originally made it so they couldn't. So they had to reverse the time so it was upright again, and then blow it up at a different spot so it fell in a different way so they could go through. That makes sense, kinda, sorta, but at the same time, it's also plonked in the middle of a scene where so much is happening that while I'm still trying to figure out what's happening in the scene, the super cool set piece happens, and since I can't really fully understand everything, what should have been a super cool shot just kind of looks like, okay, that happened, cool. It made me feel like okay, this movie has like all the cool Christopher Nolan hallmarks, like the super cool set pieces, which he's really good at. I'm not gonna say he's not good at shit.
100%. Like, I want to state that I really like Christopher Nolan movies typically.
On average, yes.
Just to say that as like a baseline, I was really excited for this movie.
Yeah.
Go on. I don't know.
God.
Did you think that stuff was exciting? Did you think a lot of the action scenes were exciting? There were some that were. I feel like it was hit or miss in this movie for me. I don't think it was consistent.
It wasn't as consistently, like, I guess, great as it usually is. But then again, I haven't seen Dunkirk, so I don't know. I'm going from like Interstellar backwards. I'm not going from like, I haven't seen the whole filmography. I liked when him and Robert Pattinson, when they did the heist to get that artwork out of the weird hangar thing. I like the backwards fight while he's fighting forwards, and then because it's one of those scenes where in the future, when it happens again later, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That made me feel like a smart boy. I was like, oh damn, that makes sense. Then you question why he tried to shoot himself, but we're not gonna go into that. They actually crashed a real plane, so yay for practical effects when you crash a real plane. into a hanger.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was more cost effective than making a miniature, which I'm trying to understand how that works, but apparently so. That's what the trivia said.
It's simply too tiny that if you were to do that,
yeah,
it would require such
kind
detail
of like,
that it was impossible.
it's like how they flipped the truck in The Dark Knight, where they flipped a real truck. There's a little piston in the ground that went boom, and then the truck flipped. But then when they blew up some buildings in another thing, I'm not saying blow up a real building. That's stupid. But that's like a miniature, because of course you can't just blow up a real big ass building. So, I mean, I appreciate his dedication to as much practical stuff as he physically can, because it's kind of like how you know, Tom Cruise tries his best to kind of make it seem like, you know, he's actually putting himself in danger, because he's actually putting himself in danger. But there is a limit to where you're like, is this too much? Is it wasteful? Is it reckless? It's like there was a scene in the Fast and Furious movie, like the train heist thing where they're trying to get the cars off the train. That cost like a few $1 million. That stunt alone, and you look at that and you're like, that money could have gone to something a bit more useful than a movie where things blow up. If that makes sense. Like, is it like overindulgence at a certain point? Is it like we're giving these guys way too much control over way too much money for things that ultimately art matters, but does art matter this much? Is art like $4 billion for a 10-second scene?
I think like you're starting to think a bit deeply about consumption and capitalism. Honestly, I think that's where this.
It always goes that way. Whenever we talk, this is where it ends up. Damn it. Christopher Nolan's an agent of capitalism. Straight up, I said it. Come at me. But yeah, okay. What's the main question? Overall, did I like this movie?
Yeah.
That's my answer. Kinda?
You're mixed?
I'm mixed. Like,
yeah. Okay.
I don't want to say it's...
I say that.
It's not so... Okay, I can argue for some movies. You know when a movie's so well made, you can't help but give it props?
Yeah.
You
think this is well made?
That's what I'm saying. I kind of can't say that for this. Like, it is, to a degree, but then some things seem like they didn't have as much... I feel like he didn't think much about the audience, to be honest. I feel like he was kind of stuck in his own head going, wow, this concept is amazing. I am a great filmmaker. I'm a great scriptwriter. But then...
An auteur.
He's an auteur. But then that didn't translate to me as an audience member. Like, I felt coming out of this how people said they felt coming out of Inception. Like, I understood Inception, I enjoyed it. I'm like, I mean, it's not that confusing. But this one, I'm just like, fuck, that he tried to put super cool physics into a movie about spies blowing shit up in reverse, where I would have rather he just...
That sounds great. What you just said, if we took that as a sentence,
as a pitch,
I'm in.
That's why we were excited to begin with. That's why I wanted to see it, because I'm like, what? Super cool physics and spies doing crazy shit. John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, what? Cool. And then you get there, and the physics are making very little sense. There's too much exposition. The characters don't have character. And the super cool stunts kind of lose their flavor, considering you have to kind of try and understand why they're happening that way in the first place. They seem like they're cool in concept, but then when they happen, you don't really feel that amazed by it. Like, it's cool. It does look cool. Like, goblin brain, monkey brain is like, what? That guy's like trying to get his gun, but in reverse and like moving backwards. Like, you see, this thing's to like.
We both just started flailing around just so everyone knows. Yeah.
It's like, you know that move that like breakdancers do when they kind of like bounce off the floor, but like on their back, using their elbows to push themselves up. It's like that, but like it's, you see, like, there's cool things, there's things to like, but I can't bring myself to like them that much at the end of the day, because it feels like me as an audience member was kind of, this movie wasn't made for me. It feels like it was made for Christopher Nolan. It was made for him to play in his cinema room in his mansion and go, that's the shit.
On IMAX.
On IMAX. Nothing else. Exactly. It's for Christopher Nolan to bring all his homies over, and then they watch it, and then
they go, what?
What was that, Christopher?
What was that?
Apparently, you like Ludwig's music so much, he chose to prioritize that over the freaking the vocals. Literally, there's so many choices made here that I'm left scratching my head. Not because I'm stupid. I'm not stupid. I understand movies. Mm-hmm. Movies make sense to me, but this one, as much as I give a pass to so many movies that, you know, you can make an argument for being kind of stupid because they have a redeeming quality about them. You could say, hey, John Wick doesn't have that much like emotional depth to it. It's just about a guy who lost a pet and he shot a bunch of Russians. I'm like, yeah, but at least the action's cool. At least that anchors it for me and goes, I'm excited for the next action scene to happen. Whereas this one, I was still trying to understand what the fuck happened in the last action scene by the time the next one shows up. And it's
exactly.
Yeah, I think I took up all of that. What did you think? Did you like it? Did you like Christopher Nolan's Tenet 2020? Yeah.
I gotta say, no, I didn't like it, but I feel weird saying that at the same time.
I understand, yeah.
But I'm trying to like think fundamentally about what makes a movie good. Okay,
Here we go.
Typically, I have to be invested in the characters, and I tell you what, I was not invested in these characters.
Well, you didn't care about protagonist?
The protagonist, look, he's first of all that whole, you know, bombshell moment about I am the protagonist, and like for a while I was like, I don't know what this guy's name is, like, and then it hit you. Like, oh, what? That's him? Like, his actual name is the protagonist? I thought he was just being cute. You know what I mean? I'm like, I thought maybe I missed when they said his name. But no, he's the protagonist. And, okay, yeah. Like, John David Washington as the protagonist and Robin Pattinson as Neil. You know, they're interesting. Because they're good actors. But it's not like...
Yeah.
It's not like these characters have some sort of extra dimension to them. They were like, it's like, oh, that's, you know what I mean? Like, there's no extra sauce to like, or extra dimensions that make, you know, those characters special.
I heard a good point quickly. That,
everyone else. Go ahead.
Just quickly so I can go back to it. I heard a good point that any character that the protagonist has, any kind of quirks that he has, are not the protagonist, the John David Washington. That was him. You know, whenever he was like funny or witty, I felt like that was him as a person, not him as the character. The character seems like he wouldn't even do that in the first place.
The character seems like a blank slate, and the name obviously suggests that. Like, that's maybe what Christopher Nolan was going for, but that's definitely not particularly interesting to me. Like, I want a character. This is like the same kind of philosophy I have when it comes to like a video game, where if you have a character creator, I find that it kind of makes the story a bit more bland sometimes because there's like less defined qualities that make them interesting in the way they interact with other characters in a game. So it's like, it's kind of the same aspect where if you make something intentionally bland, it usually will be bland. You know what I mean?
It's like, hey, I chose not to put any salt on this meat. Does it taste good? No. You chose not to put salt on it.
Pretty much. And like, also just like trying to make me attached to these what's the character? Kat's character. I don't see why I should be interested in what's going on in her life and why the protagonist cares so much about her and is willing to like go off the books and try to save her for whatever reason. Like, what does she like? Why is there a relationship there at all? Apparently, I think it's because they had a relationship in the future or something like that, and because they're working non-linearly. But it's like, she's just some rich lady. Why is she so important when the stakes are, you know, saving the world? And so many movies have that, you know, the world's going to end kind of plot. And then but why do I care about her? Why do I care about her family, her little inner politics drama and stuff like that? Like,
if they
I don't
establish
get it, why they centered it around these people.
Yeah.
what do they bring to the table?
If they establish that the protagonist as a character was his weakness was, oh, whenever I see someone who is in desperate need of help but can't do it themselves, I feel a need to want to help them because that's who I am. I like helping people. This lady is stuck in a relationship because the guy is using the kid as leverage. That I find that despicable. Therefore, I want to help her. But sometimes it feels like he's in love with her. He kind of just dives straight.
But it's like legit just been a day. You know what I mean? You don't get attached to someone that much in a day. I'm sorry, you just don't.
I cracked the equation.
Because they knew each other? What?
No,
is that it?
It's because in what other medium does the protagonist have to like risk life and limb for a random homie they met 2 minutes ago? A video game, and he's a protagonist. He's like an RPG. You walk into a village, the first random village is like, hey man, can you go catch my 2,000 sheep? And you're like, I got nothing better to do.
You're telling me Christopher Nolan made a capital G gamers game or
yes, he did.
gamer movie? Like, I guess he did. He was he did announce the game of the year at the Game Awards. Sorry for all the times I've said game and gamer to our audience. I really apologize.
I mean,
wow, sense. I don't know. Maybe you're onto something. Maybe this is very video gamey in a weird way.
This is
I did Nolan. Obviously, like even when I was watching this, I think I like said, "Oh, this is so Kojima-esque." Just the way, like, just especially like the scene where they're going in reverse. Just that movement, that weird movement, really reminded me of I think Metal Gear Solid 5. Like, something about that just clicked.
I thought it was Vamp for a second.
Well, maybe Vamp. Just something Metal Gear Solid-esque. Like, it just is that. And I mean, it's stealth spy thing. It makes sense. But yeah, like this movie had aspects that I enjoyed, but it's like, as a concept, it's like, oh, cool concept. In my head, I might say, oh, that's a cool concept. I can't tell you what the concept is. I'm sorry. I don't, like, yes, but it's like moving back and forth. But what the hell is like the connective tissue? It's just like that. Like, I mean, like, even with all that exposition, I still don't understand. Like, you put that much emphasis on exposition and I still don't get it. That's where I feel like it fails as a movie, because it fails in telling a story to its audience. Like, I have to leave the theaters with some sort of message or some sort of feeling of like, oh, wow, or just, some sort of emotion. And I just left there and I really just remember the popcorn. It was really good.
You remember the crunch? You remember the butter?
I remember the butter and I remember the crunch. I remember the guy not wanting to validate my parking ticket, giving the runaround. That's what I've left with. Like,
dude,
I don't know.
There's this weird argument about, like, how like a lot of movies are franchise movies, like it's Marvel or it's Disney or it's DC.
Yeah.
And then we go and see, an auteur, a man who's been like a master at his craft, making like this passion project of a movie. I think we've seen 2 of them now. We saw The Irishman, and we've seen this about those directors who are apparently up there in the Mount Rushmore of of directors you get excited whenever they're making a movie. I walked out of Avengers Endgame feeling something. I felt happy. I felt sad. I felt so many emotions because I gave a damn. I walked out of this, and I walked out of The Irishman. I stood
rolled
up
out of bed.
I got up off my couch, and I didn't care. Not that I didn't care. No. Like, look, the characters themselves have things they care about, but you're not really making a good argument for me to care about it in the first place. Like, I don't feel like it's weird when John David Washington went back when Thingy got shot, the girl, and they had to go and invert themselves to go back and for some reason to heal her. I don't know. He seems so adamant out of seemingly nowhere, because I'm like, why do you care so much to the point?
Yeah, where is this motivation coming from?
It came out of nowhere.
I legitimately don't get it. Like, I don't. And they were talking like they have some sort of rapport and some history, but they just met. like, why would they stick up for each other? Like, I can understand sticking up for someone, obviously, that's in an abusive situation, right? Like,
that makes sense.
Okay, I get it. But the world's gonna end.
I don't know, man. This one girl doesn't seem like she's worth risking life, like the world.
Because you know what? If the world ends, that means she doesn't live. Just by, like, if you want to take it on to that kind of, like, really tiny, like, zoomed in scope.
Yeah.
But if the world ends, everyone's gone. Everyone.
Also, Aaron Taylor Johnson's Army Man character and Neil, they went and helped him for some reason. They had a reason to help him.
Because all right, that I think I'm pretty clear on it being like he, you know, how they have the line of like, oh, we're going to be friends in the future or whatever. So they have some sort of connection that hasn't happened in the timeline. I think the timeline that's going forward. You know what I mean? Like the one that we start following from the start of the movie, that timeline, it hasn't happened yet where they know each other. And those guys are working maybe perhaps backwards. So this is like the overlap, the pincer, if you will, moment, like where things collide. So I think that's why they're willing to help him and everything.
Now you mention it that way, it does make sense. But like, I don't know. There's this weird thing though. Like, I'm not saying I hate the concept of, like, you know, people from the future coming back to the past and interacting with people and based off the relationship that they're gonna have in the future. Because that might be the case. It's interesting. I
just want to say that might be the case with Kat as well, is what I'm theorizing. But for an explanation, but it still didn't click with me. Like, I still didn't care. Like, regardless if that was an explanation, it still doesn't encourage me to be like,
I think
they have a deep relationship.
Yeah. I think Neil, you know, working off the fact that him and John David Washington are like best friends in the future, it's weird in terms of, like, you know how there's those time travel rules we were taught from, like, Back to the Future and shit, where let's say Back in the Future. It's like the bootleg version. Like, for instance, if I go back in time and I tell my now partner, hey, we're gonna date. That's not fair.
Just sounds creepy.
That's not fair, because now they have it in their head that this is fate. I might as well date them now because I'm going to date in the future. But that may not be what they wanted to do in the first place. Like, have you seen Misfits? The show?
I saw it to a certain point. I think I saw the first 3 seasons.
Okay, then you may have seen what I'm talking about. If not, do you really care? You're going to go back and finish Misfits.
Oh, no way.
Ew, what the fuck? So basically, the character Simon in the future is some masked vigilante guy. So Simon in the future is this really confident, you know, sexy buff type. But Simon in the present is this, like, you know, very timid, shy, you know, doesn't get around much guy.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so they find out that him from the future goes to the past to tell his future girlfriend that she might die or to try and save her, but that kind of puts all this pressure on present day girl, because she's like, well, because it seems like, am I falling in love with you because you've told me this is what happens in the future, or because I want to? Because now it's kind of it manipulates things in a way where it's just
I see that.
Because now that John David Washington knows that Neil is from the future and has been, for some reason, apparently inverted this whole time. He's been living life in reverse, which is like a movie on its own. That seems like a better plot. And but now that he knows that they're going to be friends, that affects a lot of things. Like, I understand the rules of time where if I go back in time, let's say I go back in time, I tell my girlfriend back in the past, who's not my girlfriend yet, we're gonna date, and based off that, she's like, you seem like a weirdo, and then she goes and dates someone else. I've created a splinter that goes off elsewhere, different timeline, because going back in time and telling someone something's gonna happen doesn't ensure it's gonna happen. If I go back in time and say, hey Clyde, don't touch that hot ass stove, you're gonna get burnt. That means if since I am the version of Clyde who touched the stove and got burnt and might have a scar, that means this version of Clyde doesn't touch it, doesn't get burnt, has no scar, it ripples off and does some other different shit. But for some reason in this movie, he knows that Neil's from the future and that they're best friends, but things just kind of go the way they were meant to go anyway. Like, it didn't change anything. I mean, I'm just rambling now, but it's weird, right?
Also, like, are they always, like, fighting this Cold War, like, constantly?
In the future, apparently.
Moving forwards and backwards. Like, it keeps looping around. I don't know. Oh, this movie makes me tired.
Man, this movie is like, you know, everyone's like, oh, Terminator makes no sense. No, compared to this movie, Terminator is like the most linear shit I've ever heard. With the whole, I go back in time to save my son because my son's going to be the leader of the rebellion, yada, yada, yada. But then I sleep with his, it's weird. It's very weird. That's, anyway, we I think we like went off on like a tangent without even going into like the topics that we wrote down.
I covered some of them, but yeah.
Like the whole, like I wrote that Christopher Nolan writes characters that are simultaneously cool and hollow at the same time, which is kind of what this whole rant has been about. How on the surface they seem so cool, like John David Washington's a super bad spy who has all these skills. He can like smooth talk his way into so many situations. But when it comes down to what does he want, why does he want it, there's nothing there.
Yeah,
it's empty. There's no real motivation here. The motivation is because the plot says it happens. It's not because it's in the same way that in this universe the future is meant to happen regardless, or the war is meant to happen regardless. We're kind of pulled along for the plot because the script said so. The plot has to happen.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Everything is like predetermined.
Yes.
So in that way, like, they're trying to. It's like they're trying. I get it. The plot is they're trying to change the course of what is predetermined. Mm-hmm. Correct, but I'm like
it's tired you out.
I don't know.
Dan's gonna go take a nap now, guys.
Then it's not actually predetermined. Then nothing's predetermined. Like, if they can change it, then is anything actually predetermined? Do you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
So, what? It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It's like, I keep bringing up Endgame now, apparently, because time travel's in that too, but for some reason that made way more sense to me, where time isn't one linear thing and you change and then things change. It means if I go back in time and do something, that means I've created a timeline, a different one, because in this timeline, something completely different happened, which means different things are going to keep happening as the future trudges along that are different from what it actually was. It's like every sitcom episode, like Family Guy, Family Guy, or like Simpsons, where they go back in time and they do something dumb and then their wife ends up marrying someone else. Ripple effect. Like, if I go back in time and I get a different haircut, maybe my partner now wouldn't have been with me in the first place, because I would have looked different. Things would have been different. Maybe a different person would have come up to me and said, hey, you look kind of cute. Or I could have got hit by a truck for some weird unknown reason. You see, different things. This movie is like thing with time.
So many imaginative scenarios.
I know. That's the thing. For some reason, in this movie, time seems like it's a straight line when it's not meant to be a straight line, which is why the human brain can't comprehend it. Which is why I think Christopher Nolan's not human. He is an alien, which is why he can understand this weird fifth dimension metaphysical shit. And we're sitting here like, wait, you're telling me the time doesn't just work the way I was taught?
I don't know.
Apparently radiation makes time go backwards.
And flames turn into ice.
That was dumb. That was fucking stupid. That was the dumbest shit. Why would flames turn to ice? Ice and flame are not even the same matter. This is just a different state.
It's just, magic.
So you're telling me that a cup of ice can explode? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
If it's going forward in time, it's going to...
You just grab some... They could have just grabbed some ice and just thrown it. Just like lobbed it at people. And it would just blow up. Yeah. 100%.
I feel like they brought that up just...
tactic.
They brought it up just so when John David Washington blows up in a car crash, he doesn't die, actually. He just wakes up and goes, no, I'm cold.
Yeah.
Goddamn. Okay.
Yeah.
We've been talking a lot about the things that we didn't like. Here's a thing that I thought was cool, though, because Christopher Nolan has, I feel like, this weird George Lucas thing where if it's him on his own, things may not work out as well as we may want it to. But if there's some other element, another person, another producer, anyone kind of helping edit things out, it may have ended up different. Because I found this trivia thing. I'm going to read it out because, I can't, it's a lot to just kind of waffle on about. The word Tenet presumably originated from the satyr square, a word square containing a 5-word Latin palindrome that dates back to the ruins of Pompeii. Ah, Pompeii! Just like
Pompeii!
in the movie. With the volcano.
Oh my god, the boy went to Pompeii.
To see the volcano, to see the lava.
Wow.
The puzzle is a 5x5 square made up of five-letter words written in five lines. Satyr, arepo, tenet, opera, and rotus. In every direction the square is rotated. These 5 words appear both horizontally and vertically, a property that fits the time inversion feature in the film. It is also notable that all 5 words appear in the film. Kenneth Branagh's character is named Andre Satyr. The forger responsible for the painting and Kat's former lover was named Thomas Arepo. The term Tenet is named in the organization that the protagonist is recruited to. Opera refers to the location of the opening scene, and Rotus is the name of the security company. So, when it comes to theoretically, on paper, the idea of Tenet is cool. How it's based on all this stuff, and all the stuff is incorporated into the movie, and Satyr and thing is backwards, and it seems like the inspiration for the movie is great, but that didn't translate to when it actually was put on film.
Yeah, you can do a really good brainstorm, but at some point you got to actually, make something for the masses.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You can have a really good session where you're like, Pompeii! Satyrs, what is it called? Satyrs Square or something? What was it called again?
Yeah, the Satyr Square.
Satyr Square.
Yeah.
Palindromes, working in reverse. This is a tidbit I also picked up on. John David Washington is doing pull-ups throughout the movie. What's a pull-up? The same thing backwards when you spell it out. It's another palindrome, boy. You just got to pop in every palindrome possible. That's why there are race cars in the movie, and that's why they play Azealia Banks 212.
I mean, look, it's like this was made for the trivia of the movie. It wasn't made to actually be a good movie. It was made to go, hey man, look how many palindromes they can throw into one film. All of them, every single one of them.
So it's just those are Easter eggs there. It's not plot.
Yeah, but apparently they're the same thing. It's the kind of shit that, look, if I was a film teacher, I'd bring it up in terms of themes and what's the word? Yeah, in terms of plot, themes, how things fit together. I'd bring it up as that, but I wouldn't bring it up as this is what makes a good movie. It's one of the things that helps make a good movie. When you
it's
have
a basis, yeah.
When you can go back and revisit and go, oh, that's cool. Oh, that makes sense because XYZ mathematical equations, palindromes, 5 square shit. You're like, okay, cool, but it's kind of like a guitarist who can play 50 notes a second, just. But then at the end of the day, it sounds like noise. Technically, you're good, but musically, that doesn't translate because it just sounds like a billion sounds at once, which just sounds like nothing at the end of the day, as compared to homie on the corner of a street strumming 4 chords and singing a love song. Sounds better. We can all agree that I'd rather hear a song that makes sense and sounds good than a person just kind of going crazy and showing how good he is, but not actually taking the time to make sure that there's actual proper songwriting.
Yeah, it's sense. Technical prowess or whatever versus just this is simple, but it makes sense. This is random.
Here we go.
I was reading Jay-Z's Decoded.
Damn, bro.
And he was talking about making the Empire State of Mind track, and doing a mainstream song still takes obviously a lot of thought and like effort to actually get that done correctly and do it well versus like doing a more technical rap song about like he was like saying I could rap like Common, but you know, like it's hard for Common to do what he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I saw a similar thing actually.
I don't know.
I saw a similar something on a similar line, like a tweet where it's like, Outkast could probably do any Beatles song, but could the Beatles do any Outkast song? No, they couldn't. It's different. Once again, another reference, because you know we're just throwing in random shit that's happened recently. I saw Spider-Verse again like yesterday, and there's a scene where Miles gets a 0 out of 100, and the teacher's like, the only way for you to get every answer wrong on purpose is to know everything. So even failing takes skill. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, I love the idea of these technical marvels of films where, you know, everything, they thought so much about each shot and composition and how all the themes fit together. But then somehow it's like a robot. As a structure, in terms of technology, it's amazing. But does it have a soul?
This movie is soulless. Is that what you're saying?
It's soulless, though. Don't tell me.
Yeah, you know what?
The soul of this movie.
You're right. Well, I'm telling you, I like legit was so bored at the temporal pincer section. I was like legit, like it was like this sense of like major confusion of just like, okay, I don't actually understand what's going on, and I'm actually quite frustrated and angry that I don't know what's going on. But on top of that, even when looking at all these visuals of things popping off and reversing, it's like so much is going on in my face. And yes, it might be impressive, but I am not impressed. This is not connecting. Like, I don't feel the impact of what's going on if I don't understand what's going on. It's just a simple, matter-of-fact thing. Yeah, like... Tenet.
Tenet, man. Tenet's not a movie, it's an experience. And how you experience it may not be positive. If anything, I guarantee, I don't know. I want to actually hear like from someone who genuinely loves this movie and everything about it, because maybe I've only been hearing the same kind of opinion where it's like, yeah, it looks cool, but that's it. I want to hear someone tell me about what they absolutely love about it. And like, you know, because maybe that's it. Maybe I'm hearing the same opinion from everywhere. So I'm struggling to see outside of this bubble. So I want to just like go on Letterboxd or something and see what people are saying, where they're like, oh, actually, this is actually like my favorite. I saw like a YouTube video, like I didn't see it. I saw the title. It's like Tenet is a modern masterpiece. And I was just like, no. And I just swept past it. I wasn't even curious enough to click on it and go, I want to see what this person's saying. I just felt like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I have this weird thing about people calling things a masterpiece way before it's... Yeah. It's like, look, it's kind of like, look, I think, give it time. I think we'll see Spider-Verse as a masterpiece. Give it time. I think it's gonna even get even more highly regarded as time goes by, which doesn't mean that, you know, it's overrated now or something. It's really good, but let's not jump the gun and say it's the best thing ever. It's the best thing ever, and then
because like it's like this thing about just letting it settle, and like a masterpiece needs to like sit in a certain context of like it needs to sit at the temporal pincer of its of its fellow movies. Its timeline. You know what I mean? It needs to sit in the middle. It has to be compared to the past and its future, in a way, before it's put into the pantheon.
Look at us, just connecting themes. We're like Christopher
Nolan.
Nolan,
Right?
Smart.
We did pay attention, right? We did somewhat.
We paid attention to what made sense.
Maybe we got 75% of the way there, and the other 25% is a disconnect. But I don't blame myself for it. I blame the audio mixing. I blame Christopher Nolan's storytelling.
Every damn review I saw was like, why does this sound like this? Apparently, people like actual filmmakers like have called Nolan himself in on why does it sound like that. Yeah. And apparently, he said something to justify where it's like. It was some pretentious shit about how like it's just the style of it. I'm like, no, we're meant to hear what people are saying. That's if there's anything that's an absolute truth in audio mixing, I'd like to hear what the characters are saying. Unless for some reason in this specific scene, I'm not supposed to. Like, you know, like a lot of movies have that one final scene where the person leans in and says something, but we don't hear what they say because we're meant to like, you know, take it away with us. Think whatever.
Or there's a mystery or whatever.
Whereas this one, they just didn't. We did, like I said, when we finished the movie, it's like Charlie Brown.
Yeah, it was like legit. I think it was the most crucial scene, and it was where the machine, there's like some sort of machine or apparatus where it's like Seda is there and Neil is there and the protagonists are there, and they're going basically forwards and backwards through this timeline thing.
Yeah.
That's where I couldn't hear shit. Like, I couldn't hear anything.
Dude, I want to know
about what they were saying. And it felt so crucial, yet I felt so like out of it. Like, and I was trying. I was actively like leaning slightly forward, like that would make a difference.
The speakers are like 20 meters away from you, like what?
This extra 10 centimeters will do the trick.
Yeah, because I don't want to spend most of the movie trying to hear what's going on. Like, with speakers that loud in a place that big, that shouldn't happen. Like, look, fair enough if you're at home and your TV speakers are kind of trash, and for some reason there's no closed captions or subtitles available. That's one thing. That's on some ghetto shit. Like, the first time I saw Tom Hardy's Legend was without subs on a really shitty computer. I couldn't hear what was going on. That makes sense. So I just went away and came back with a copy with actual subtitles. But that shouldn't happen in a cinema. That shouldn't happen in a place where that has the loudest possible.
It's supposed to be the premium experience.
Apparently, premium is yeah.
You know, as good as it gets, essentially. Like, so there should be no excuse. I get it. Like, even in like maybe a movie at home that I'm watching on Netflix or stuff like that, sure, I'll miss a couple of words if I don't have subtitles on. I get that. But this wasn't like a couple of words. This was like entire sentences.
All the words.
And with a movie that's so exposition heavy, you would think it would be prioritized that we hear the exposition. Expose the exposition, Nolan.
No. That it'll come in the Nolan cut. You gotta buy the Nolan cut to have the proper audio. There's no extra features, just better audio.
Yeah, because this one, this wasn't cut by Nolan. This was cut by Nolan. Yeah.
Nolan, yeah. God.
The Nolan cut.
Christopher Nolan wishes his name was a fucking palindrome. Damn.
I dreamed my whole life.
I have one dream, to become a palindrome. God, yeah. Anyway, I feel like we've exhausted
as
much of Tenet as we could. Oh, except apparently Elizabeth Debicki as Kat reminds you of a certain character from The Incredibles. Who does she remind you of, Dan?
Yes, she reminds me of Mirage. I'm telling you, like, Mirage. I was just like, who is Incredibles?
Dude, Mirage was like, everyone's like crushing The Incredibles. Like, damn, man, right? Cool. Except, Mirage was interesting. Mirage seemed like an actual character. Kat seemed like, she had things happening to her, but I didn't seem to really give a damn. The
most interesting thing was when she started putting like sunscreen on the boat floor. Like, I thought that was interesting.
I wasn't even. I saw her doing it. I saw her doing it, but I didn't think much until she actually slit his body off. I'm like, oh, that's smart. Okay.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool.
I'll give her props for that and for caring about her son. And
Pompeii.
That's about it. Pompeii.
See the lava. My kid's a dumbass. He's going to a high-end ass school. He's like, I'm going to Pompeii to see the lava. And his friend's like, God, you're a dumbass. This is why your mom doesn't spend time with you, man. I think she's embarrassed.
God.
This has been the Bounce Off, talking about Tenet. The Bounce Off.
We did
you
it.
know how balls bounce up and down at the same time? Tenet bounces up and down on the scale of intelligible and bullshit at the same time.
Yes, the pendulum has swung. We are back and better than ever.
Season
talking
2.
shit about all movies. Nobody's safe.
No one's safe.
Nobody's safe.
I don't even know what's coming out this year.
Everyone can catch hands.
Wonder Woman, we're coming for you next.
Oh my god. Yeah, I wish I liked this movie.
I wish. I wanted to. I think that's what the most disappointing thing about, a movie by someone who has made really good stuff before. You go into it wanting to like it, and then it disappoints you at like every turn. And you're like, damn. It's like if, your mom had like a reliable recipe for some sort of dish, and then somehow on that day she charred the onions, the meat's raw, like everything just the I don't know, the pot decided to just...
She decides to experiment, adds orange rind instead of lemon rind.
She puts like dishwashing soap instead of oil for some dumbass reason. Like, I don't know. That's pretty much it. Everything just went wrong. And the problem
sounds more intentional.
Yeah, she was trying to poison homies. Like this movie, and it seemed like so much is riding on this movie doing well, and it didn't do well at the box office for obvious, reasons. And Nolan was there going, "Nah, man, you got to go see this movie. I'm not going to put it on streaming services."
Nolan. That was the other thing. Maybe we should highlight that Nolan was willing to kill people to make sure they see this movie. He was like, "Please die for Tenet.
Die for the cause. Tenet is cinema, man." And I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm like, was it worth risking your life to see Tenet? No, it wasn't. No movie's worth that. Literally no movie. I don't care if Zack Snyder's Justice League comes out in the middle of Chernobyl. I'm not gonna go see it. Fuck that. And the dumb part,
I don't care. Wait, Justice League comes out, full stop.
Regardless of where it is. But you know what the dumb part is? He was so adamant for us to see this movie in cinemas, and we get there and we can't even understand what they're saying.
Yeah,
we would have preferred it on streaming with subs.
It was safe to view it, and we still couldn't hear it.
Oh damn, man. See, he went from saying dumb shit like, "Hey, go see Tenet in the middle of a pandemic," to like, talking about how Warner Brothers taking all of their stuff to streaming is a stupid move, which is an actual good point because, they're basically keeping most profit for themselves, and cinemas have to kind of weirdly fend for themselves now that a lot of movies they're depending on to make money off, they now can't. I don't think it's all. Yeah. I don't think no movies are going there at all. I think if they're going to cinemas, it'll be like a limited run. Like it wouldn't be as big a deal as thing. So independent cinemas are kind of fucked on that point because
it's also just a US thing.
Oh, that's true.
Because I think HBO Max is only in the US. I'm pretty sure of that.
Dumb. That is stupid.
But
I want to see Wonder Woman.
I mean that makes sense. Like at the end of the day, like. It is sad that like theaters will get hit, obviously, but at the same time, people's lives are more important. And corporations and big corporations are always going to look for opportunities to make more money. Capitalism going to capitalism.
The bottom line, man. The bottom line.
Yeah.
Whatever that
so
means.
It all makes sense, but like I also think like, well. At least these people aren't congregating in theaters.
Yeah. I mean, stay home and stay safe, or at least go to a drive-in. If that's what you want to see a movie, at least at a drive-in you could be in your own car and you ain't got to interact with everybody else. That's safe.
Make sure you clean your screen though before you go. It can look a little dirty sometimes. You don't want that.
No.
Get that grime away and have a good time.
That grime, get a good time. Have a good time. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. So the first episode of 2021, the year of our Lord 2021. Give us the damn vaccine, you bastards. Only people who are scared of needles, that's got to go. I'm sorry. That shit should have died in 2021.
Hopefully, there'll be some sort of other way of ingesting the vaccine for them.
This is where Farnsworth from Futurama shows up. Good news! It's a suppository.
But yeah, that is good news. That would be great news.
I mean, not for me. I'm getting stabs. I'm good. I don't take the alternative. Anyway, once again, thank you for joining us. I'll let Dan handle the social media because I'm lazy and I'm going to sip this empty can of soft drink.
Yes, social media. You can follow us on Instagram at TheBounceOff, and you can follow us on Twitter at TheBounceOffPod. Please also drop us a 5-star review on Apple if you can.
Only
if
5.
you're feeling so inclined and generous, or just logical, because we offer a great show. We'll just keep it to those for now. Just please give us a follow and feel free to drop a comment or chat to us on any of those platforms. We'd love a discussion. Alrighty, Clyde, we signing off?
We are signing off with the Disney logo in the corner and everything. We've been Dan and Clyde, and this has been the Bounce Off. I don't know what the logo would be. Would it be a B? I'd say BO, but that's a terrible.
We are the Body Odor Off.
Body Odor Network. Let's go.
All
right. Legit though.
Peace.
Gotcha.